You're listening to She's the Business podcast. Today, you'll hear how this mum of two elevated her business from struggling in a competitive marketplace, competing on price and undercharging to get any client, to signing her first four-figure client, being fully booked and working with her ideal clients every day. Plus, she did this in just 3 months during the height of COVID. Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and in my 23 years of business and marketing, I've built many brands to become multi-billion-dollar companies. And just in the last 10 years, I've built 2 online businesses of my own from my dining room table with 2 little babies running around at my feet. I've made it my mission to inspire you to get out of your own way and become the successful business owner who's living the lifestyle you really desire without all the hustle. This is She's the Business podcast, made by women for women. This is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration. Today, I bring you an interview with Georgina Chai, who is the founder of Flourish Career and VA services. She's a resume writer and interview coach, specializing in early to mid-career accounting, administration, and human resource professionals. She helps them to clearly, confidently communicate their professional value and be seen as the candidate of choice for their ideal roles. Georgina is a mum of 3, and she also has 10 years experience as an HR professional herself prior to launching her business. Today, she shares with us her business journey, how she overcame imposter syndrome that struck her not once but twice in her life already, and how she's managed to stand out from the crowd and really elevate her position in the market so that she's attracting her ideal clients to work with her. Without further ado, let me play the interview with Georgina. Hi, I'm Jessica Osborne, business and marketing coach, and I'm here today with Georgina Chai, who is the founder of Flourish Career and VA services. We are here because we've got some amazing things to have a chat about. Georgina obviously being in a place where she's helping people to create new career progression, find a new job, maybe get back into the workforce after being out of the workforce for so long. With so much, changes happening in the job market over the last year with everything that's happened with COVID-19. I've brought Georgina on today to give us some great tips on how you can put yourself forward in that best light, and what are those things that maybe we can look for outside of the resume itself that would help to, be more successful, I suppose, in our job search and career development. So we're also going to share a few of Georgina's own experiences with her business. Georgina has been a member of my program Business Jam, which she joined last year. That's in 2020 in July. And some of her experiences that she's gone through with her own business and I guess how she's putting herself out there as a business owner. So without further ado, I will introduce to you Georgina. Welcome, Georgina. How are you today?
Thank you, Jess. Yeah, I'm really, really good. Thank you for having me on board.
No problem. So can you give everybody just the quick snapshot on what you do? So I know that I stumbled over a few words there, but I'm sure you can say it much more smoothly. Tell us what your business is and what you do.
Yeah. So I'm the founder of Flourish Career and VA services, and essentially the focus of my business is to support people to position themselves as the best candidate for their ideal role. And I do this through optimizing their resume, helping them with their job application, and also helping them to prepare to nail those job interview questions. So I guess in a nutshell, that's what I do. The VA side of my business is I do provide some online administration support for small business owners, but that's probably, a lesser component of my business. My main focus is on providing job seekers, Australian-based job seekers, with the support they need to win that role that they want.
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic. So tell us about how you got started into this. What was the catalyst for leaving your job, and what were you doing before? How did you choose this business niche?
Yeah, so my background is in human resource management, and I worked in that space for about 15 years in the public sector. And when I started my family, I decided, well, a full-time role wouldn't suit our family. And so I decided to leave corporate life, but I knew that I wanted to continue to contribute to the family income. And in the past, I had helped family and friends with their resumes, and they had some really good success with gaining roles. And I thought, wow, this is something that I really enjoy doing, and it's really valuable to people. And so I decided, here's something that I really want to do. And it kind of connected in well with my HR background as well, because as part of that, I also did some recruitment. So I saw that as a very complementary type skill to move into. Initially, I started working with an organization, an Australian-based international career management company. But as that business grew, the demands from the employer also increased. And at the same time, my family was growing, and I really needed flexibility, which with the business growing, that flexibility became less and less. And so I bit the bullet and decided, well, I've had a year with this company. Let me just see if I can do it on my own. So that's what I did. And basically just started off with a Facebook page and telling everybody what I was doing. And that's how I sort of landed where I did. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. And so were you focused on, I guess, resume writing, or, what was when you first started out, what was the thing that you were out there to really help people with? And what was that need that you saw in the market?
Yeah. I think predominantly resume writing and job interview coaching. Those were the two areas because, pretty much when I was working with the career management company, those were the two main areas that I focused on. Yeah. But yeah, when I started my business, there really wasn't much of a science to it, to be honest. I just, accepted everybody, worked with everybody, and basically, to be honest with you, had no idea how to put myself out there. I was just, what more can I do? And, I'm quite introverted as well. So even having a Facebook page was actually quite a step out of my comfort zone. But obviously, I knew that as a business, you have to put yourself out there. But I guess, I really didn't have a strategy at all. Yeah. It was just basically, here's my Facebook page. I'll tell everybody what I do, and off I went.
Yeah. And we will talk a bit more about your journey with your business in a moment. And I guess what I wanted to ask you was you've obviously seen being in HR and then being in recruitment as well. You've been on both sides of the fence, either helping people to put their applications in, or you've been the person receiving them and really helping to do the hiring process. So I guess that gives you such good understanding of, what is important, what people are looking for, how to stand out from the crowd with the job applications. So what do you think would be the biggest issue you see with how people approach their job applications?
I think a majority of job seekers tend to take a spray and pray approach. So there's not a lot of time spent on customizing job applications to a particular role. And this is so vital because you are competing against sometimes up to 300 applicants for a particular role. So if your application is generic, then what differentiates you from the other applicants out there? So there's a real power in focus on really spending the time to tailor your resume, your job application to a specific role. And as a recruiter, I can definitely tell when somebody has done their homework versus somebody who's just thrown their hat in the ring And, they don't know what the business is about. They don't know who they're talking to. So that is really a great differentiator. But I guess the other part also is, beyond your resume and your job application is also, building your network. So LinkedIn is a professional platform that I'm on. And it, practically the whole world is on there. So it's easy enough. Like a simple tip here is, for example, if you were going to put in an application to an organization and, in the job ad, it says that you will be reporting to a specific role, jump into LinkedIn and find out, have a go at finding out who that person might be. Marketing manager of Boost Juice. That's a recent conversation that I had with a prospective client. So easy, and that person is on there on LinkedIn, and you can address your letter to them rather than to whom it may concern or dear sir, which is the common way that people tend to open their cover letters. And that's perfectly acceptable, I guess, if you've done your research and you still can't find who that person is. But that 1 minute effort will set you apart from so many. Yeah.
Ah, absolutely. And I think what you're saying, there are just so many similarities between that process and actually what we do to market a business. You think if you don't know who it is that you're applying to and you just generic, you're throwing your CV in, it's not tailored. It's not talking to them about what they want. You're talking just about yourself. And in the cover letter as well, I know from my experience being a hiring manager and definitely being a job seeker as well, I used to be one of the ones who did put the effort into tailoring every single application. But that would mean that I'd really target those jobs specifically of the ones that I wanted and not just try to put it out as many places as possible. It is so interesting because it's exactly the same with marketing a business. You think, if you can be specific about who is your ideal customer, talk to them about what they're going through, their needs, and show that understanding, you stand out from the rest who are just back here in the generic, trying to throw the net wide and just talking about themselves. So it's so fascinating that it's like the exact same process, just applied in a different way. But that's how you, absolutely would stand out from the crowd in terms of getting a job, the way that a business can stand out from the crowd in terms of attracting clients and the right ones. So, when you're talking, I'm like, this is exactly the same.
I totally agree with that. And it's really about, the focus. Focus is really powerful. Because, and it helps you to discipline your thinking as well. Whereas, I think if you sort of diverge everywhere and you're trying to be all things to all people, then, your energy is really unfocused. And that's when, you're not, optimizing, your time and your efforts to get that job or to grow your business, definitely.
And, it comes down to things like the specifics can make such a difference. So when you're able to not worry about the ones who might not be the best fit and trying to keep them in the loop and please everybody, when you can really tailor into who it is that you're talking to and then say something specific that they will be particularly looking for or really wanting, but you actually think maybe these other ones aren't looking for it. I think when you're trying to be the generalist, you tend to leave those specific details out because you don't want to turn away other people. But actually, it's the opposite would be true, is why not go after the real one that you want and use those specifics so that you stand out to them and you are the clear choice. It makes such a better use of your time and energy because rather than doing 300 applications to different companies, you might pick 5 and really focus your energy on each one and tailoring your approach to it. So that is such a fantastic tip. And I think it's something for anybody, whether you're in the place of looking for a job or if you're actually in the place of running a business and looking for clients, the same thing applies. So great tip there. What about for those of us who are hiring new team members? what should we be looking out for, or what tips would you have that would help us select the best people, apart from those who are obviously standing out that they've done their research, but what else would you say we should be looking for?
Yeah, I think you can really tell the people who are genuinely interested in a role. So the things that I would probably look for are attitude. So are they a problem solver? Are they a team player? What's their motivation? So, we always hear in management theory, what's the why? Why are you doing it? And it's so clear. You can really pick the candidate who has a clear why for why they are applying, and versus the one who's just thrown their hat in the ring. Mm-hmm. And it comes across in their answers as well. And also, I guess, the third component I would be looking at is how they learn, whether they like to learn, and whether they are open to continuous improvement. So those are probably the three things I look for: attitude, motivation, and approach to learning. Because really, at the end of the day, you want to have people with the right attitude, the right motivation, and open to learning, because you want to actually retain these people because they're going to add a lot of value to your organization. So, but if I had to pick one, I would probably say motivation. Yeah, is very, very important. Their why for how do they see this fitting into their career, as opposed to somebody who's just thrown their hat in the ring and you probably
just want a job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
they're not going to last.
Money. It's like, well, you can get money doing anything. Go and drop pamphlets in the letterbox. But absolutely, and I love that. That is that's huge, because the why really shows that that'll be an employee who is invested in this company. And that doesn't mean that, you want them to work way more hours than what they're paid or anything like that. It's actually just that they are really tuned in to the purpose and the vision, and that it aligns with their own vision and purpose. And I think then, yes, you have this great synergy, really good match of people. And that's fantastic. And would you say the same thing, I guess, so if you're hiring maybe a consultant or a contractor, maybe an outsourced supplier, what would you think? Is that still relevant in that case? You're bringing them in to be your team, but they're not really an employee as such. However, you are paying them to do some work for you. So would you think the same thing applies then, or is there something slightly different that you'd look for?
Yeah, no, I definitely think the same applies, because I subcontract as a VA. I subcontract. And certainly when I am choosing the clients that I work with, I look at how our values align. How do we work together? Can we work together collaboratively? What sort of attitudes do we have in terms of our work and how we approach it? So definitely, I would say right now, my two clients, in terms of, the work that I do in the VA space, they're definitely clients that we are in alignment in terms of our values and how we approach the work. So I would definitely say that alignment is so important, because one of my clients I've worked with for about a year now, so still going. So that's really, really important, because I think if we didn't have that alignment, I probably would have said goodbye to them a long time ago, because it's so difficult, and you want to, in terms of work, you want to have, there's going to be challenges in work, but you kind of don't want to, wake up in the morning and go, I dread going into work. You want to be able to go, I know there's challenges, but I'm super excited about, going into work anyway. And you're happy to keep going back to it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think, a problem, I've always been someone that loves a good problem to solve. And I think that the challenge of that is what's always kept me interested and motivated in a job. But the thing that really demotivates you is when it's hard. It is hard to operate. Yeah. So that means it's usually, I guess, the relationships or the way that people are working together. That is what puts the brake on. So, I can think back to some of my roles in big global corporates, and there was so much red tape, or, just to do something really simple, I had to go through so many different gates and processes. And for me, being someone who's, I'm really I guess a quick worker. I like to get things done, see the result, get it done, move on to the next thing. Like, it was just so hard because it felt like I couldn't get the wheels moving. It was just like, grind every day.
Yeah.
Whereas, the actual challenge of what I was doing, I really loved. So that's, I guess really interesting. And it's probably a bit of my personality type where I really just like all the rules and the red tape, and I always want to see if I can find ways around them. It might work really well for other people. And, I think that's about knowing then yourself and really understanding your personality and what works well for you. And therefore, what sort of company, or business, you would work well in, and then for who would work best with you as well. So I think about it from both sides. I know my weaknesses and my personality type. I'm a really big picture thinker, and I see the vision, but then on the detail and the actual, getting things into control with administration, into supporting things, and even just having some sort of order on content and where I'm storing all the ideas. I might have an idea about how to do it, but the actual doing it, it's like, I would rather stick pins in my eyes than sit there and do that. So I know when I hire people, I need to complement my skills and what I'm good at with people who bring the rest of the pie. Otherwise, it's not a healthy or sustainable business. I need to have that, but I know that I'm not good at it. So instead of trying to make myself good at it, I just hire people who have those skills.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's a really, really good point. And I guess, the two clients that I work with, they are big picture thinkers. And so I guess, that's why they've brought me in, because I'm more detailed in terms of my approach. So, and that's exactly what they need. So that's so true. You've got to find people who do complement your skills.
Yes. Yeah. Amazing. Those are really good tips. So with yourself, how has the transition been from going from employee to being a business owner? Thinking back to your business even a year ago, what's changed in this?
I think being a business owner, really, the buck stops with you, doesn't it? Like, you get to call the shots, which is the amazing thing, which is really what you need in terms of, for me, it's, I'm happy that I get to call the shots, because then it affords me the flexibility that I need to, to manage my life. But at the same time, I was very challenged by, imposter syndrome always creeps up. Even though I've done what I've been doing, what I'm currently doing for quite a while, that imposter syndrome always creeps up. And I think for a long time, I thought to myself, am I actually running a business? But last year, of all years, I decided to really step up and, commit to my business. I really wanted to run it as a proper business, which meant putting myself out there, marketing. But I realized, I was going round and round in circles. And I really should remember this, Jess, because, when I was a job seeker and I spent painful 8 years trying to get a promotion for myself, I DIY'd. And so it's funny, isn't it? Because I had the same approach to my business where I was like DIYing. I had some friends in business and I'm like trying to learn off them. And I'm like, at the end of the day, my business is my business and I really can't mirror it on somebody else's business. I really needed some guidance. And so that's why I decided to take the plunge and invest in coaching for myself. Because, that was sort of recognizing the fact that I could DIY it, but it would be a lot better to learn from someone who's been there and done that. Learn from your wisdom. So, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, yes, just seeing a lot of it's really just the guidance and things that you already know and, what you're helping people with. It was actually, probably you were sitting there thinking, well, I understand this because I actually help job seekers do the same thing, help themselves stand out and to be more relevant and to all of that. It's just hard sometimes to do it for yourself, I think, because you're not necessarily asking yourself the right questions, and you're so internalized in your own business. It can be hard to see what's obvious or what's there. So, yeah, it was great. Awesome that you did join Business Jam and go through the process. And I could see, the progress that you made straight away was just amazing. You really figured out straight away, right, yes, I haven't had a specific customer, an ideal customer. So you had been talking in general to anyone. And then that's also what was happening in terms of how you're attracting clients. And it would be a price-based decision because you're being general, you're just out there with other people who are also generalists. And so what is a client meant to do? But they say, well, I'm not really sure who's the best fit for me, so I'm going to go with what's the price, And so it becomes a price-based discussion, which really, from a business point of view, that means that you're in a losing position straight away. As soon as it enters into price-based consideration, you're not going to be, well, you might be winning, but at a much, much slower rate because you're going to be being the Bunnings, something for everybody, as opposed to being, a really specific specialty store. So, I think that was a really good learning. So what do you think, what have you done in terms of imposter syndrome? How do you think you combated that challenge that you had, and how are you finding it today? Are you a lot more in control of your inner imposter?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that the work that we did in Business Jam in terms of setting those key foundations was very, very critical. So firstly, really committing to your ideal client, which was so difficult because, and I'm sure a lot of, people who are starting off in business, they probably feel the same way. We're leaving money on the table if we don't include everybody. And that was definitely my mindset. But I think the discipline of having to go through Business Jam, and I guess your push, Jess, to kind of really, let's really focus on your ideal client was really invaluable because it was uncomfortable. And I really kind of grappled with it for a bit, but I thought, look, you've been there, you've done that, and it's working. So let me just do this as well for my business and see how I go. And truly, 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 the power of that focus has really helped me in terms of, when I think of what to post on my socials, when I'm fronting up on video to share tips and things like that, it's very clear in my mind who I'm talking to. And so I think that has really created that connection between myself and my ideal client. My mind is not so all over the place because I'm really picturing who I'm talking to. I know who I'm talking to. So, and that's been the most powerful shift, I think, in terms of doing the program. I think, for people who are thinking about investing in themselves and, investing in coaching to grow their business, foundations are so important. You really gotta set a very, very strong foundation. And from there you can build on your business and grow it. So, yeah.
Oh, I so agree. I think, and I'm sure that's something that I said to you guys as well is, the methods that you use don't matter so much if your foundation is broken. None of them will really work very well. So, but if you get your foundation set, then you can pick and choose any kind of marketing method that feels right to you or that works well for you. And you can focus really heavily in social media. You might focus on email marketing. You might do face-to-face. There's so many different elements that you can use. And obviously I prefer to use a mixture of them, but none of them will work if your foundations aren't set. And once they are set, everything becomes so much easier. So I love that you said that. And I know just before we jumped on this interview, you were giving me a quick update and saying that you had a really, really busy month in January, and how the clients who are finding you just seem like a really good fit to your ideal customer. So do you want to tell us a little bit more about that or what that's been like?
Definitely. I guess one of the things to know about me is that I'm quite introverted by nature. And, I guess introversion doesn't necessarily mean shy, but I was actually quite timid in terms of marketing myself, and one of the things that I also challenged myself to do was to appear more on my socials and appear more via video. So that's something that I really sort of pushed myself out of my comfort zone to do so that people get to know me better as well, know what I sound like, know what I stand for. and know how I approach my work. And so I think with the clarity of, who my ideal client is, and how I communicate through my social media platforms, that has been so instrumental, I think, in helping people get to know me. But I've also focused on building my networks as well, to really reach more of my, prospective clients. And so I think that has really helped to kind of, get people to know me, and then people start referring me as well.
Yeah.
And other things too, I guess, in terms of consistency, in terms of your marketing, I think on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I've got my business now on Google My Business. I'm still waiting for approval, but it's getting there. Those little things. But also, I think about, my business is a long game. And sometimes I know one of the key bugbears of business people is like, I'm not seeing traction on my Facebook or on my LinkedIn. But our wise coach, Jess, said to us, it's also about building your social footprint. And I think because I'm more consistent, people can find me more easily on Facebook. Previously, because I was so inconsistent, people were not able to find me. So I think a combination of things. So consistency, that foundation and that consistency, and just moving out of your comfort zone to let people in and get to know you a bit more. I think that's really helped to make me more visible in the marketplace. So yeah,
absolutely. And people buy from people.
Yeah,
people who you trust and you have a connection with, and it's so much easier, I think, to build that trust and connection when you're actually putting yourself out there and allowing them to get to know you and engage with you. And it doesn't mean that you're sharing everything that's going on in your personal life, or that, you've got dirty washing on the floor or whatever else is going on. You don't have to air that all out on social media at all. But it's just about, bringing yourself as you, the real human, to the forefront. And, whether it is doing video or other forms, no one has to do it, but it's so much easier than what you think it is. I think we all stop because we worry about what people are going to think about us. But you were actually mentioning you think it's actually helped you to get over some other aspects of, helping people to see you're Australian, how you talk and communicate, and that, this is a really easy conversation to have. They're going to enjoy to work with you. All of those things maybe might not have been as easy without doing the video. So there's been some really great benefits in that as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. So how did you choose your ideal customers? Because I think this is something a lot of people struggle with. And, you are the same as so many clients I work with, where you've got, you offer a service, but it could be to almost anybody, like anybody who's looking for a job, could be someone who's looking for help with their resume, or interview coaching. So, and I know that this is what you said, it wasn't an easy process. It was quite difficult. But do you want to share with everybody, what you specifically did, or how you ended up deciding on who was going to be your ideal customer?
Yeah. I think, because I've been doing this for about 5 years now. So my general observation is that I tend to work with females, and they tend to be of a specific age and at a specific stage of their career. So for me, because my background is in HR and I work for an organization that is predominantly filled with administrative and accounting professionals, I thought that was probably the best way to go, because I have a strong understanding of those particular areas.
Yeah.
Now, based on observation, I decided, okay, I'll be targeting females, early career to mid-management, only because, in my own career, I got to senior HR manager level. So I thought that would probably be the best, because I don't tend to go above that because I don't have experience at that level. So, and I think that's worked really, really well, because when I do consultations with clients, I can confidently talk about, from your early career to, wanting to step up the ladder, what do you need to do? And I can talk very, very confidently about that. So it just makes it easier to, to do consultations, and the client can see that, this is your space, this is your thing, and you can really they feel a lot of confidence coming from you when you talk about it. So
yeah,
that's how I think that's how I decided in the end, because I knew that I was talking about something that I knew really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it shows that you really understand them as well, you know, what that situation they're in and why they're wanting to do this, why they're wanting that job, and, you know, what they're really aiming for and how you can help them get there. So it's much more than just writing a resume. You know, why do they want the resume? What is the job going to mean to them? It's, you know, it's not just a job. It's not just a resume. It's really deep diving that next level, which has then allowed you to connect with them and that they feel, yes, okay, this lady actually gets it. Georgina understands me. She knows what I'm looking to do. Even if they hadn't consciously thought those thoughts themselves, I think you've really, you know, plugged into what was underneath it all for them, which, you know, that's the key. So you were telling me that you know, these people, you're really working mostly with people who would fit your ideal customer profile. Is that right?
That's right. That's right. Look, I do like to challenge myself, because I think, you know, as a resume writer too, I like to get to know different kind of professional fields. And so from time to time, if I feel like there is a strong fit between myself and the prospective client, I will venture off, you know, my kind of HR admin and accounting type customer. And, you know, I have worked with professionals, say in marketing or the arts, which I really enjoy. I'm like, wow, it's such a broad field. And I really enjoy talking to people in that space, because I just find it fascinating, because for me, I'm very, is it left or right brain oriented, you know? And so talking to people who are more in the creative space, I just go, wow, that's amazing. You know, so I really enjoy, finding out a bit more about that. And it's also for me to sort of, you know, broaden my knowledge of, you know, what some of the skills in that particular field. So I think, you know, I will from time to time work with clients in that space. It's not often, because it has to be the right fit, you know, so, and sometimes people in that space too, they go, oh, I really want to work with somebody who, you know, who has an in-depth understanding. But, you know, for me, because I'm very research focused, I have been able to help people in all different sorts of professions achieve their dream role. But it has to be the right fit. I think that's the emphasis. I'm always like thinking to myself, if I take you on, I need to know that we are aligned and we can work together. So
yes, and I love that approach. So tell me, how do you decide whether they're the right fit? What is that gate that they have to get?
Yeah, I think, you know, one of the things that I've built into my business is a discovery call. So I never used to have a discovery call before. And I guess typically resume writers don't. But I know for myself, and I think about myself, you know, when I want to purchase a service, I really want to know the person behind that service. And so I thought it's almost like I'm sort of building my ideal client on myself and how I like to do things. Yeah. And so I think, you know, having that 15-minute chat really helps me to get to know, what is this client like? You know, how do they like to work? You know, and I ask them a series of questions in terms of, you know, their clarity around what they want to do, you know, how they like to approach things. And then from that, I gauge, you know, are we a right fit to work together? Of course, I also have terms and conditions for my business. And, you know, at the discovery call, I present this to them as well. And so I guess it's really, that's one of the key things too, whether or not they're happy to adopt those terms and conditions. That's very, very key, because then I know for myself that, you know, if they aren't able to sort of meet those, then maybe we're not the right fit. Because for me, you know, I'm not a 9 to 5. You know, I don't work 9 to 5. I need that flexibility, and so I guess you know, my clients have to kind of similarly adopt that flexibility. I mean, it goes two ways as well. But generally speaking, I have found that, you know, with my ideal client, there is that level of flexibility as well. So that's why we work so well together.
Yeah, that is amazing. And So the discovery call, have you noticed a difference in conversions from, like the people coming onto the call? Are they sort of self-selecting that they be the right people first? And then how well are they converting into clients? What's that meant for you?
Yeah. I think the discovery call has really been a bit of a game changer for me. It's really because it's almost like a high touch approach where, a person gets to see the person behind the service. And so there is that trust that's established. Yeah. Whereas it's really hard when it's just, somebody on Facebook, or it's like a non-static type, kind of approach. And so I feel that because I have built this into my process, my conversions are far greater. That quick conversation just gives that prospective client the reassurance that they're working with somebody who knows what they're talking about, who is a real person, not a robot or anything like that. So I think that has really been a game changer.
Yeah, fantastic. And I know that you did some work as well on your services and packaging them and sort of pricing it in a totally different way. So tell me, how has that worked out for you? How is that going? What did you do there?
Yeah. Pricing was such a massive hurdle to overcome, to be honest, because I've always had people say to me, your pricing is way too low. Your pricing is way too low. But I think for me, I thought, gosh, if I put my prices up, and because, there are a lot of resume writers out there, and I'm thinking, if I put my prices up, people are not going to buy from me. But I thought about it, and I thought about how much value I'm bringing to my client. And so I think that's the thing too. It's about valuing my own service first, and then thinking about, how do I support, my client, and really understanding my why for why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I really want to help people, and that's my key motivator. But then building in the discovery call to really then show my prospective clients the value that I bring. So kind of really shifting my mindset from a pricing based service to what value do I bring to my client? And I'll have to be very honest, it takes a little bit of courage to stick to your guns and say, this is the pricing that I'm going to go with. And I did kind of grapple with that, but I thought, you know what, I value my service and I know that I can get people results. So I'm just going to stick with it. So it's a little bit of, kind of self-talk where every time I go on a consultation call, I say to myself, do not discount this price. Do not discount, do not start discounting before you've even told, the client what your price is.
Well done.
And that's really, I think that's been so key. And I didn't tell you this before, Jess, but I actually sold my first 4-figure package back in December, which is all that I set for myself. Yeah, I was absolutely shocked, to be honest. I was like, wow, okay. So, but I think the mindset shift and just being really firm about, the value that I bring has really enabled me to do that. So, yeah.
Well done. That's fantastic. And I think part of it is probably just that shift in thinking about what it is that you're delivering. So, you're not delivering, here's a resume. It's kind of like a tangible deliverable, but it's actually all of that value in the service that you provide and in coaching them on, choosing the right role, how to present all of the information and the actual strategy that goes into the application process. That obviously the resume is one part of it. It's a piece of the deliverable, but it's so much more about the strategy. And really that's what they're buying, is the strategy to get the job, not, like the resume is a tool that you use in the whole process, but it's not the only tool and it's not the only thing that's going to get you there. So I think, I can really see that big shift that happened with your business, and that's amazing. Congratulations on your first 4-figure package. That is awesome. Many more to come, I'm sure. So
can I just add to you? Yeah. I think one of the things that you taught us in the course is really about, it's important to know who your competitors are, but it's also important not to focus on your competition. And I think that's also been very key for me in terms of, thinking, well, I do things in a specific way. I don't have to worry about, other resume writers, other career coaches and how they approach, how they do things. I just need to focus on how I deliver. And that has been, instrumental in helping me really focus and up my pricing as well. Because, I think when you stop comparing yourself to other people, because I'm not like other people. I'm not like other resume writers. I don't talk like them. I don't sound like them. Our processes are probably different. And just really refining your own processes and really thinking about your own kind of approach. I think that's really, helped to push me forward as well.
Yes, absolutely. And 100%. I love that you've really taken that on board and avoided the comparison, because you're not comparing apples and apples. You're humans delivering a service, and everybody brings something quite different. Even if, technically on paper you might think the deliverable is the same. No two resume writers are going to approach their service the same way. The same as no website designers are going to approach their service in exactly the same way either. And so I think that is 100%. I agree with you. That's definitely a huge shift that's clearly worked so well for you. So well done. I love that.
Thank you.
Right. So I always like to ask people, what's your biggest aha moment during this process of your transformation? What you realized, what it was like before to now? What do you think?
Yeah, I think, I probably covered off on it earlier on. I think really the aha moment is probably the first one is how your focus can actually help you grow your business. That fear of niching because you're thinking, you're leaving money on the table was a real fear, I think. When I started my business, and even as I, worked through Business Jam, I thought, gosh, is this going to work? Is this really, really going to work? Yeah. But I guess, because I signed up for the program, I thought I will be a good student and follow what the teacher tells me. And so that's what I did. and truly that has been such a powerful foundation to just then keep on building, and really having a very clear strategy ahead. So I think that was the aha moment, but also that I can push my price higher and people will still buy from me. But my responsibility is to really communicate my value, the value that I bring, which is something that I probably thought I was doing, but I wasn't doing it very effectively. Because people tend to be very price focused. And so, for me, I really needed to shift them away from that. And so building in the discovery call has been really, really good for that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's like you actually shift your focus away from the pricing, and that helps them to shift their focus away from it as well. And, when we are being driven by the price, then we tend to list features, and try to then have a price on it rather than thinking about the actual real value and building in to them what that process should look like in terms of their, buying decision. Shouldn't be based so much on the price, but more on the value and what they're really getting. So yes, I think absolutely that's great. So, what would you say if you described how your business was a year ago compared to now? Could you do that in a moment? Like, I know it's hard to describe a whole business in a couple of sentences, but if you had a few words of like what it was like and then what it would be like now, what do you think that it looks like, just so we can kind of see how you feel what the change is?
So before it was unfocused and probably all over the place. And, I didn't know what to do. There wasn't a clear strategy. But since doing Business Jam, I probably would say that there's clarity, there's confidence, and there's definitely, a goal to move forward and build more kind of services that will, help my business grow. So I think, if I was going to say it in a short and sweet way, that would be it basically. Yeah.
Amazing. And that real confidence that you can now see your business is a vehicle, for you to achieve your life, and that you've got that confidence that you can add services where you can see that there's value and ways that you can really work with your ideal client and help them to achieve what they're achieving. It's so different from what can I sell, let's sell it, and kind of being a product focus. Yeah, I love that. I can really see that change. Do you have a tip for any new online entrepreneurs? Like, you had your time again, what would you do differently? Or, what are your main tips that you would give?
Yeah, I think, I think imperfect action is always a good thing, because sometimes, you can be planning and planning and planning and never move forward.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, if you don't know how to do something, it's very important for you to get help. I mean, it's no use sitting there going, you can do DIY it, but if the DIY isn't helping you, I think it's so important to invest in yourself and invest in your business, because this investment is really going to help you grow. And achieve your business goals. So it's not unlike when I talk to my clients and I say people would rather, there's so much information out there about resume writing and things like that, but why aren't you getting through to your dream job and things like that? Is because it's difficult to do it by yourself sometimes, because you don't know where to begin, where to start. And so I think investing in coaching for yourself really gives you some clear guidance about where you need to start, what foundations you need to lay down in order to grow your business. And so that, I think, has been the most valuable part of Business Jam for me. It's really some clarity about, where should I focus first to move forward? Whereas in the past, I was like, there's just too many things. I don't know where to begin. Is it the website? Is it the, So but it's really, it's really just been focused on, who I want to work with, and, who I want to work with and who my market is. So that's been so key for me.
Yeah. And I think that is there is so much great free content out there and free information, but it's not always being written or not tailored for your business either. So, there's some out there that's great, but it's very generalized. So unless you're able to pick out the pieces that are relevant for you and be really good at using those and not taking on the rest, then it can just be a really long, slow road to getting somewhere, because, you've got to try it all out. And, I've never seen, I'm sure that I mentioned to you as well that I, don't really believe in the blueprints so much, because no business is alike, especially in a service business, you are unique. And so every person's unique, every business is unique. It's about understanding how to build your strategy so that you can build the pieces and put them together. And then as you grow and evolve, you've got the knowledge then of how it all works, how it fits together, so that you can revise it yourself and keep on going. So it's really, for me, that was my whole goal with Business Jam, was to teach you how the marketing strategy actually works, so that you build it that's actually unique and relevant and works for your business. Because, what you're doing is not the same as what someone else would do, because your target market is different. Your ideal customer is different. You're different with, your own strengths and what you bring. So it's really about that understanding of how do you build your foundation, but how you build your foundation, not how I build mine. It's really understanding how to put those pieces together and what it all means. That then I think gives you that, now you've got that knowledge, you can come back to it and carry on, carry on growing and evolving, because, you'll get to that next phase where you're ready to reach the next level. And that just means you need to, come back and do a little bit of a strategy reset. Is my ideal customer still the same, or do I need to evolve that because I've moved on? I'm in a new place now, or, whatever that is, there'll be some tweaks that you make, all the time to keep yourself moving ahead. So that's really great. So can you tell us, what is next? What are you working on now? Have you got anything that's on the horizon, or something that you've got that's available for people to get now as well with what you do?
Yeah. I guess the two things that I've got on my mind at the moment, and I'm slowly working towards it, is having a self-paced product to see how, that kind of resonates with my clients. So I'm building content for that at the moment. But further down the track, I'm looking at having, group coaching calls for job interview preparation. Because I think literally, the same questions always come up during job interviews. And so it's a real opportune time for, people to come together and share just how they approach it. And people can learn from each other as well. So, I think, those are the two things that I'm working on at the moment. So I'm probably targeting sort of mid-year to kind of get that going, hopefully. So, yeah.
I love that. Sounds awesome. I can just see that, it would be quite similar in coaching people on interviews, and so much value and even learning from other people as well in that group environment. So that seems like a really natural way for you to, add another piece to your business, but still keep it really, really focused on your ideal customer too, which is fantastic. Well done. So where can people find you, find out more about your business or get in touch if they want to get in touch? Tell us where they can reach you.
So my Facebook page is Flourish Career and VA Services, and my website is www.flourishvaservices.com.au. So that's where you can find me. And if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm Georgina Chai. So look out for me there too.
Awesome. Okay. And I will make sure I've got those links below this interview video. If you're watching it on my website, then you can grab them there as well. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on and join me today, Georgina. I really, really appreciate you being here and sharing all of your experiences. Congratulations on, the success that you're seeing and the changes in such a short amount of time, because it's really only like 6 months. It's not been a long time at all, or just over 6 months since you started. So, to see this change in your business and in how it's working and so many learnings happening in that short amount of time, I think that's a real credit to you for your dedication and, the work that you've put in. You're certainly seeing the results coming out. And, when we say you put the work in, that doesn't mean that you're working, hustling hard and working all hours of the night. It's actually just that you're really focused on what you need to do and that you're doing those steps that are getting you somewhere faster. So congratulations. It's been such a pleasure having you in Business Jam, in the VIP group, and, that you're continuing to be in there as well. I love to see you on your journey and to support you further. So thank you, Georgina.
Thank you, Jess. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
So if you would like to improve the marketing of your business, then the first place we always start is with your ideal customer avatar. Now, my system for your ideal client is different to most. With my ultimate customer avatar worksheet, there are 35 questions to help you really deep dive into what your ideal client is currently thinking, feeling, and what their goals are, what they're doing in their buying behavior. Go to jessicaosborne.com/customer-avatar to download your free copy of my ultimate customer avatar worksheet today. And let's get started on defining who that ideal client really is.